The establishment of the U.S. Navy in 1794 marked a significant milestone in American history, providing the young nation with a permanent maritime defense force. Before this, the United States relied on temporary naval measures and privateers to protect its interests at sea. The decision to create a strong standing navy was driven by increasing threats from piracy, the need to safeguard American merchant ships, and growing international tensions. Let's explore the events and decisions leading up to the creation of the U.S. Navy, the legislative framework, and the early achievements that set the foundation for America's naval power. After the American Revolutionary War, the United States faced numerous challenges in protecting its maritime interests. The disbandment of the Continental Navy left American merchant vessels vulnerable to attacks by pirates and privateers, particularly from the Barbary states of North Africa. These threats significantly disrupted trade and posed a threat to the fledgling nation's economy. Additionally, European conflicts, particularly between the British and French, created further hazards for American ships navigating international waters. The lack of a formal naval force also limited the United States' ability to project power and protect its sovereignty. Early efforts to address these issues included the use of temporary naval forces and privateers, but these measures were insufficient for the growing demands of maritime security. By the early 1790s, it became clear that a permanent and professional navy was essential for protecting American interests and ensuring the safe passage for its merchant fleet. Political leaders, including President George Washington and Secretary of War Henry Knox, recognized the necessity of a standing navy. The ongoing depredations against American shipping and the need for a strong national defense prompted them to advocate for the establishment of a navy. This push for a permanent naval force culminated in the passage of the Naval Act of 1794, which laid the groundwork for creation of the U.S. Navy. The Naval Act of 1794 was a critical piece of legislation that officially established the United States Navy. The act was introduced in response to increasing threats from Barbary pirates and the need to protect American commerce. It authorized the construction and procurement of 6 frigates designed to form the core of the new naval force. These ships would be the first vessels of the newly established U.S. Navy. The Act's passage was not without controversy. There were significant debates in Congress regarding the cost and necessity of a standing navy. Some legislators feared a strong navy would lead to increased federal power and potential entanglements in European conflicts. However, proponents of the act, including President Washington and Secretary Knox, argued that a navy was essential for national security and economic stability. The key provisions of the Naval Act included appropriations for shipbuilding, the establishment of a naval hierarchy, and the guidelines for operation and maintenance of the fleet. The act also included a clause stating that the construction would cease if peace were reached with the Barbary states, reflecting the cautious approach of some lawmakers. Despite these reservations, the act was passed on March 27, 1794, signaling the formal birth of the United States Navy. The Naval Act of 1794 authorized the construction of 6 frigates, which would become the first ships of the U.S. Navy. These frigates were designed by Joshua Humphreys, a prominent shipbuilder who proposed innovative designs to create vessels that were fast, durable, and heavily armed. The ships included the USS United States, USS Constellation, USS Constitution, USS Chesapeake, USS Congress, and USS President. Building these ships posed several challenges, including securing funding, acquiring materials, and assembling skilled labor. Despite these obstacles, shipyards in several states began construction. The process took several years, but by the end of the 1790s, the first frigates were launched and ready for service. The USS Constitution, famously nicknamed Old Ironsides, would go on and become one of the most celebrated ships in American naval history. The successful construction and launch of these frigates marked a significant achievement for the young nation, providing it with a formidable naval force capable of protecting its interests at sea. The establishment of the U.S. Navy was driven by several key figures who recognized the importance of strong maritime defense. President George Washington was a steadfast advocate for a permanent navy, understanding its necessity for national security and economic protection. Secretary of War Henry Knox played a crucial role in drafting the Naval Act of 1794 and securing its passage through Congress. Joshua Humphreys, the naval architect, was instrumental in designing the frigates. His innovative designs ensured that the ships would be powerful and durable, capable of withstanding the rigors of naval warfare. Other notable figures included Benjamin Stoddert, the first Secretary of the Navy, who oversaw the early operations and organization of the naval force. These leaders, through their vision and dedication, laid the foundations for the U.S. Navy, ensuring that the United States could protect its interests and assert its sovereignty on the high seas. The newly formed U.S. Navy quickly proved its value through several successful operations. One of the early missions was to combat the Barbary pirates who had been preying on American merchant ships. The Navy's presence in the Mediterranean helped secure American shipping routes and protect commerce. The Navy also played a significant role in the quasi-war with France, demonstrating its ability to defend American interests and assert power. These early successes helped establish the credibility of the U.S. Navy and underscored the importance of a strong maritime force in protecting the nation's security. Modern historians view the establishment of the U.S. Navy in 1794 as a crucial step in the development of the United States as a sovereign and powerful nation. The creation of a permanent Navy allowed the U.S. to protect its interests, project power, and secure its maritime boundaries. The innovative designs, initial frigates, and the successful early operations demonstrated the effectiveness of the Navy. The U.S. Navy's establishment also marked a shift in American policy towards a more proactive defense strategy, laying the groundwork for future naval expansion and the prominent role the Navy would play in American history.